How's it going, guys? It's your boy Drastic Quill here. I know, Rigger Day. I'm able to take a video of my hands. This has never happened before. I got new equipment. That's why it's so shaky. Which apologies for. I'm gonna try to minimalize that, but until I can get that figured out, we're just gonna have to deal with this. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about my early days of starting Magic the Gathering because it's a bit of a long story, and I figured, you know what, we talk about it so much on the channel, I might as well enlighten you guys about how I started with Magic. So, back about, I want to say about 5 years now, back when Fate Reforged just came out, I started playing Magic. I went to my local game store and I asked, could I buy a booster pack of Magic the Gathering? And the store owner looked at me and he was kind of hesitant because, he knows everybody who plays Magic. He's like, do you know how to play? And I said, no. Here, why don't I show you how to play first? So he shows me, you know, we each had our hands completely revealed to each other. We both had decks of 30 cards, I think it was. And of course, he taught me the ropes. And after that, I was hooked. The game actually seemed very interesting to me. So, after that, I did buy some packs. You know, I got $20 allowance from my parents for doing the dishes every night. And every week, I would go over to Up North Games, and I would spend probably most of it on booster packs. And when I was, I was still fairly new. I had still only bought maybe, I want to say like 5 packs. I actually pulled like an Ugin, the Spirit Dragon. And I was freaking out about this thing. It was a Planeswalker. I'd never even seen one. And here's one in my hand. Like, I would put it in my deck. I went and played some games with my friends. They had no clue what it was either. But I played it on turn 8, and I was like, okay, now what do I do with it? My friend was like, oh, it has summoning sickness, right? And I was like, I don't know. This carried on for a bit. I slowly got better at Magic. I made some more decks. You know, the usual stuff new players do. Until somebody introduced me to Commander. And the first Commander game I ever played was a 8-person table. I was given a mono green deck, and some other guy was playing Prophet of Crucifix. So my first ever game of Magic, well, game of Commander, I didn't even get to play it because I just sat there. I played, I think, one plane, like one thing, the entire game, and then this other guy just took 8 turns every round. So, completely balanced, right? This is probably why Prophet of Crucifix got banned, right? But after that game, I set out to make a commander deck. And the first commander deck I made was Krenko Mob Boss. Mono Red Goblins. Now, of course, I don't have that deck still constructed today because, it's a goblin deck. It's not that amazing. Like, if I were to go up against, a pretty casual play group, it would be a good deck. Some people don't like to play against these weird aggro-y sort of goblin decks. So I try to stay away from aggro as much as I can because it can get really salty. So I started making it. I at the game store at the time it had a bunch of binders looking through like all the sets of Magic from like Kamigawa all the way up to Dragons of Tarkir. So I scoured through all of them looking for whatever red cards would be a good suit for this commander deck. I had such a weird assortment of cards because I had a Zada Hedron Grinder in my deck, and I was like, I should probably play around it. So then I added a bunch of cantrips that kind of combo off with Zada a bit. So like I think it's Crimson Wisps or whatever. Gives a creature haste and you draw a card. I had like Assault Strobe, all these weird cantrips, and I soon realized playing it, it's not good unless I have Zada, which Mono Red has almost no way to protect its own creatures besides like little pump spells, right? So we got rid of Zada, then we moved on to just Krenko. So I made Krenko better. I got Goblin King, I got all these different Goblin Lords, and then I played against another Krenko player. And that Krenko player played cards that comboed with Krenko, cards that untapped him, cards that made mana off the tokens he produced. And I was in awe. I was like, you can do that in this game? And he looked at me, because, I'm still a fairly new Magic player at that time, with such disappointment in his eyes. And he's like, you've never seen a combo deck before? And ever since then, I mean, no, not ever since then, but after then, I strive to try to make a combo-y Krenko deck using cards like Sword of Perunes, Skirk Prospector, a bunch of just make a lot of mana, untap Krenko, make goblins, give them haste attack. And that became basically my archetype, was combo after that. After that I made a Thraxamundar Grixis combo deck, and that was like my deck for like the longest time. Then when Nicol Bolas came out in 2019, I played him as my commander, and now my current commander to this day, Kenrith the Returned King. I played against a lot of Thrasios Tymna decks, and I loved the idea of having your commander as your mana dump and then finding ways to make infinite mana. So ever since then, I've just been making this deck in the hopes that I could, do that exact same thing, using cards that just make a lot of mana, combo out with them. Like we got Pilipala there, we got Staff. Basically, it's just a combo deck. But this is like my creme de la creme, my highest achievement. This is my magnum opus of Magic. And what I realized with this deck is that it's a very competitive deck, right? So when I play against, a normal play group, they don't have fun against me. It's this deck isn't fun to play against because it's just such a, aggressively strong combo deck. So I like that's not the spirit of Commander, right? Spirit of Commander is you get together with a bunch of friends, you have fun, right? So I have other decks too that are devoted to having fun. At my local game store, we do tournaments, and that's the deck I use because, of course, I kind of want to win. Well, I got this deck here. Doesn't that look fun? This is my Tuvasa Enchantress deck. It's a bit of a aggro deck, but it's kind of like a sub-combo-y sort of deck, Play a couple Enchantresses, you play a couple of enchantments, you draw cards, you ramp, you play big things, that's the whole thing. And I have this deck as well. I'm going to show you this one. Paramicon, Sky Rampart. Whole point of this deck is you play cards like, where we got here? Teferi, Lavinia, and you just make it so that way your opponents can't really do much. Snaring Bridge. And honestly, even though this deck says, hey, you guys can't do anything, this deck can be one of the funnest decks to play against. Because of cards like Knowledge Pool, cards like Possibility Storm, cards like Temple Bell, this deck can really make a game interesting. Those are the decks I love in Magic. The decks that actually warp the game. Decks that run like uh the big 8-drop red spells that just screw with things like Scrambleverse and Warp World. All those amazing game-changing effects. And this is what I've done. This is my best collection so far. This is like, oh, I don't even know how to explain it. I've been playing Magic for 5 years. This is what I have accrued. This is my lineage. And in my future, I do not see myself stopping. I am devoted to this game, and this game is devoted to me. And with that, we'll see you next time. Bye for now.